The music news for the streets, the music news for your beats, the news for the music stuff that you gonna need. We gon' talk about plugins, we gon' talk about gear. If it's news on this music, we gon' talk about it here. Let's go.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Something. Hit the keys. Here today to talk about, is it time to finally boycott Spotify? Many of you guys probably already know that Spotify is looking to make some changes to their model here at the first quarter of 2024. There's going to be three big changes. One of the big changes, obviously, is that they are going to demonetize some of the artists on the site. So basically, let's go ahead and take a look here at some of the things that Spotify is looking to do. So the biggest reported change, and one that is already garnering criticism, is the minimum threshold of annual streams for a track before it starts earning royalties. In this scenario, a track would have to earn 5 cents per month in order to be paid. That's about 200 streams per year. Many indie tracks don't hit this threshold, and so the pennies that the artist will otherwise earn will be diverted to Spotify's stream share pool. This may not sound like a lot of money, but one source told MBW that when multiplied over many low played tracks on the streamer, it accounts for tens of millions of dollars a year. That would instead get distributed to larger artists who get a bigger share of the pooled money. So in case you're not aware, nearly 80% of all Spotify musicians or artists have less than 50 monthly listeners. So basically, you're going to be taking money out of a lot of artists' pockets. So you may be saying to yourself, well, you're on YouTube and YouTube doesn't necessarily pay everybody on the platform as well. The big difference is with something like Spotify and these companies, you have to pay a company to distribute and license your music to Spotify or Deezer or Apple Music or something like that. So even if it is only pennies on dollar, or even if it is an artist only getting maybe $10, $15 back at the end of the year, at least it pays for part of that investment to license your music. So for a lot of artists, that's going to be a big deal, because it's like you don't want to have to pay for equipment, pay for a microphone, pay for studio time, just for Spotify not to give you your funky little $15, $20 that they should probably pay you. So last year, Dawn Ostroff, Spotify's chief content officer, she made $7.5 million in compensation. Alex Nordstrom, he made $9.2 million in compensation. He's their chief freemium business officer. And Gustav Soderstrom, who is the chief research and development officer, he received $14.6 million. So these three individuals alone made over $30 million. So think about that. They only want to pay artists 0.005 cents per stream, while they are making $9, $7, $14 million in an office. Now, I understand that the people who run the business do deserve some money. So realistically, is it fair that these individuals are making $30 million while they're trying to cut pennies and dollars from the artists who are the ones that are building the platform, who are the ones that are using the platform? In my opinion, I don't think that that's fair. And I felt like this information needed to get brought up, because this is their salary compared to what they're paying us. So like when we look at things like how much they pay us off of Spotify, again, they pay us 0.005 cents. So they don't even pay us a penny per stream. So shout out to my guy Curtis King for bringing this reverse royalty calculator to my attention. This basically allows you to put in dollar amounts and figure out how many streams it is that you need to make that dollar amount. So I bring this up because I'm from the CD era and I've sold thousands of CDs in my day. And so back in the day, music was a little more lucrative for an independent artist because you could sell one CD and make $10. But nowadays, in order to make $10, you see here on Spotify, it takes 2,874 different streams in order to just make that $10. So do the math and think about it. You think it would be easier to sell just one CD to just one person on earth? Or do you think it would be easier to get 2,874 people to stream your music? In my opinion, it's definitely easier to sell one CD because a lot of people are doing shows. And so if you're doing shows and you're putting yourself out there, it's easy just to get rid of your merch at the show. You can sell CDs easily. If you're doing any kind of show, people are going to walk up to you and ask you about your music. So let's take a little deeper look at this. So with Apple Music, it's a little bit better. With 1,481 streams, you can make $10. With Tidal, 1,142. So Tidal, you need less than half, 40% of what you're getting off of Spotify. So again, I feel like all artists need to be bringing this up. Anybody who has a platform, anybody who's a content creator, we sincerely need to boycott Spotify, just like we have boycotted like Waves or like any of these companies like Pro Tools and all these companies that we've made them change their subscription model. It takes us to do this because they're not going to do it. Think about it like this. If Spotify is successful with this and deciding who they're going to pay and who they're not going to pay, the next company is just going to follow suit. Then the next company is going to follow suit. And then the next company after that's going to follow suit. And then all the companies that are streaming music are just basically going to get people's music for free. And then they're going to get to throw ads on their music. And they're going to get paid off of these people's music that they don't want to pay. We already know the music industry isn't the most honest industry out there. And we already know that it's basically Spotify's fault that we're not selling CDs anymore. Spotify and iTunes, AKA Apple Music, because we don't have CD players and computers anymore because MP3s took over, streaming took over, all this stuff over. So we're not selling physical copies of CDs anymore, which is going to generate more money for the artist who's putting in all this work, recording, buying this equipment, doing all this stuff. We just don't have that physical CD or product to give out anymore because a lot of cars may not have CD players in them anymore and so on and so forth. So another thing that really concerns me is how do I really know that I could trust Spotify if I'm an artist who has a low amount of streams? Like I don't have like an official like real counter. I just have the information that Spotify has. So all I have is the information that the company that doesn't want to pay all the artists has that they submit to us to tell us how many streams we may or may not get. Like I can't see anything on the back end. Again, I only get the data that they give me. And so if you think about it, Spotify started off super grimy. They started off illegally. It's not like they started this company doing things the legal way. And if you don't believe me, let's go ahead and take a look at Magnates Media real quick. He did a documentary on this a ways back. Very solid channel. Check it out if you're interested in documentaries. And he talks about the start and all the crookedness in Spotify.
They figured before going to record companies to try and negotiate licensing deals for the music rights, they needed to create a great working prototype of their products. So, ironically, even though the idea for Spotify was to help prevent piracy, initially the Spotify team downloaded hundreds of thousands of songs illegally so they could work on developing Spotify and create a working prototype filled with music. To be fair, it was kind of a chicken and egg problem. They couldn't convince the music industry how well their product worked without actually building it, but they couldn't build it without the music. So they pirated millions of dollars of music for free.
So as you see there, Spotify got their start by being sketchy and by just downloading millions and millions of dollars of music so that they could basically sell their product to record companies and sell it to other people. So again, how can I trust them to do the right thing when they didn't even start off by doing the right thing? So let's take a look here at some of the numbers of Spotify. So as we see here, Spotify has 551 million active monthly subscribers. It's got 220 million Spotify subscribers that are paid. Spotify has registered a revenue of over $6 billion so far in 2023. There's over 100 million songs and 5 million podcasts on Spotify, but Spotify only pays 0.003 to 0.005 per stream. Another thing that should be noted is that Warner Music Group, Sony, and Universal, they all have stake in Spotify. So they own like 18% of Spotify. So think about it like this. What they're doing now is taking away from the smaller artists to give back more money to the record labels who have been taking advantage of small artists since the beginning of time. So it's like, again, I can't stress enough. I know this isn't going to affect everybody watching this, but there's things that Spotify can do in order to rectify this. And the first one I'm going to say is probably going to anger a lot of people, but it's the smartest choice. And it should just be to raise the price of a membership or a paid subscription to Spotify. Because at the end of the day, people don't even own music anymore because they've made owning music obsolete. Like all that music you listen to on Spotify, you don't own that music. You're basically leasing that music until you're not using Spotify anymore, until you go into the next service. And so music has been devalued so much through basically streaming and all this. Raise the subscription $5 for the 220 million subscribers that you have, and that's going to bring in another $1 billion. You know, it's going to bring in another $1.1 billion. So people might complain at first, but maybe make the starting tier of all the streaming services $5. So again, I know that's going to frustrate people, but the artists who are the ones making all this music, who are the ones that are basically who the platform needs in order for it to survive, need to get paid appropriately too. Because I don't even believe that major artists are getting paid what they should be getting paid. When you see what these people are getting paid, let's go back here to this calculator. All right, so if I type in, let's say $10,000, right? So in order for you to make $10,000, you need over 2 million different streams on Spotify. So back in the day, you know, if you had 1 million different singles sold, your album went platinum and you were going to make more than, you know, $10,000. So now let's jump it up to 1 million. In order to make $1 million, you're going to need 287 million streams on Spotify, which is ridiculous because that's a number that's never been sold before. I don't think any single has ever sold for, you know, 287 million singles. So I feel like there needs to be a way to kind of compensate the artists a little bit more, because as we seen just a second ago, all the CEOs and all the high up people, they're making all the money and the artists aren't making the money. So let's go ahead and talk about the other two changes that Spotify is making. So as we look here, Spotify will fine music distributors, including labels, for fraudulent activity detected on their tracks. Streaming fraud is pretty widespread and a crackdown is long overdue. So as most of us know, maybe not most of us, a lot of us know, these record labels, they basically bought their own streams in order to fluff their numbers up and in order to get more revenue for the streams. So basically, you know what I'm saying? They've been doing this since the beginning of time. There are warehouses full of vinyls, tapes, CDs from all your favorite artists. Like all the record labels have been buying CDs and shipping them off and putting them in warehouses since the beginning of time. That's how a lot of these artists go platinum, go gold, so on and so forth, because the record label just buys 200, 300,000 albums the day that it comes out. And then it gets the artist off and running. It makes people want to go buy their album because they see, oh, it's already sold 300,000. It must be good. Oh, it's already sold 500,000. It must be good. So this is a trick that the industry has been using since the beginning of time. This has been documented. There has been a lot of different artists that have talked about this. So that's a good thing that they're trying to clean up. But I will say this, if you paid more for the stream, then the artist would be less likely to buy. The second thing that Spotify is looking to crack down on is that they want to raise the minimum length of playtime for noise tracks, like background noise, like rain, static, before you start earning royalties. Currently, any track that gets played for more than 30 seconds start earning royalties. And many noise creators have gamed the system by breaking up the noise into short 31-second tracks. This again is the streaming platform's fault. Because this goes along with music as well. If you guys notice, back in the day, songs used to be 4.5, 5 minutes, but now songs are basically like between 2 minutes and 15 seconds to 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And that's because artists are getting paid off the stream, not off the physical product. So I can't stress enough that a lot of these problems that they're talking about are created by them. It's created strictly by Spotify. And it's a problem they created, you know? Like if Spotify didn't exist, we'd still be getting 3-verse songs. As far as the static tracks, in case you weren't aware, what people are doing is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you leave your dog at home, but you want to leave some noise on for your dog. they'll play a playlist, but the people are smart. So they'll just break up that static into 6 different tracks at 30 seconds. So when the person pushes play, and now they're getting, 6 tracks in 3 minutes instead of just 1 track. So the person's getting paid 6 times the amount that they would get paid. So again, that's smart, but it is a problem that Spotify created. So that's basically what I got for you guys. I may have missed some topics, I may not have, but I do feel like this is something that we need to talk about in the music community. I feel like if you have any kind of influence, you're a content creator, anything like that, whether it's IG, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Twitter, it doesn't matter the platform that you are on. We all need to talk about this because the only way that we're going to be able to make a change is if we do it. The record labels and freaking Spotify and these companies, they're not going to do it because the CEOs want 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 million dollars a year. They want to pay us 0.005 cents because that's what they're paying us. So if you need to take my content and use it in your content, whatever you have to do, we just need to talk about this because artists need to get paid more. Artists need to get paid first and foremost. And we need to fix this situation. So that's what I got for you guys today. Make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see it. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the keys.